Coming up, let's go diving into the inbox.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Oh, hello, you beauties. And you, Preece. How you doing?
That was a new start to the show. I like it. Keep it up.
Okay, I'll try. I will try. How many coffees? Two coffees in today.
Yes.
And it's doing nothing. Doing absolutely nothing for me today. And I will say thank you to, I bought it. Ember. The Ember Mug is in my hand at the moment. And this is it's the future of drinks.
Is it though? I really don't understand this. What? So this is the high-tech mug that keeps your coffee warm? Or
basically,
tea?
yeah. It's got an element inside it that keeps it nice and warm, and it can regulate it depending on the type of drink in there. So you have an Ember app that connects to your cup via Bluetooth when you set it all up. It's actually fine. Yeah, it's very accessible. And it used to have an Apple Watch companion app, but I cannot find that companion app. Still says on the website that it's there, but I can't find it. So I think that's lies, fake news.
Have you gone into the Watch app and gone right to the bottom for the list of apps? Because sometimes
absolutely
they don't
not
auto-install. Okay, well, just double check
I
there.
will check that.
All right,
I think I did check. I did go down the list because there's that installed list, isn't there, first? And then what's not installed is beyond that.
Yeah, and there is, I can't remember where it is, but in the settings in there, you can say auto-install any app that's on my phone that has a Apple Watch extension or whatever you want to call it, or app, auto-install it. But it doesn't always do it, I
know. Well, I will look into it. But anyway, so the Ember Mug app, you install it, and then you connect it via Bluetooth, and suddenly you've got your mug connected, and you can then do cool things like, have cups of warm coffee. Kept warm. That's the whole point. Kept warm. And so you can go into the presets. You can say, okay, so it's an Americano or it's a whatever. And
does it make a difference?
And then it sets the temperature depending on the correct temperature for such a drink. And then once you've poured your drink, you leave it in the mug, and it will tell you via a notification, if you have them enabled, when it is time to drink your drink, when it is ready to be drunk.
Just stop, right? I mean, I'm as much of a geek, of a nerd, a tech lover as anyone else, but getting a notification to say, yeah, you can drink your tea now. Yeah. That's ridiculous. What are you doing with your life?
I've got to say, the hardest bit was I had to let a cup of coffee go cold because my mug needed a firmware update. Yes, my cup needed an update.
Your coffee needed an update. Can I ask?
Can I get an update? I could do with one. I mean, someone plug me in, give me a firmware update.
If you leave your coffee for, let's say, an hour, right? Stone cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not stone cold. Oh, I see what you mean, right? Okay. So
right, normally. Yeah. Okay. But now, if you're using the Ember Mug and it keeps it warm, does it taste the same after an hour as you just made it?
No, I don't think it does, because I think what happens is it kind of continually heats the drink, and I think after a while that if you left that for an hour, it would not be a pleasant taste. In fact, if you leave, I have noticed this, if you leave remnants, love that word, remnants in the bottom of the mug for any length of time, they will pretty much cook at the bottom of it. Basically, if it detects any liquid, it'll just continually try and heat that up.
Can I just give you a suggestion? Just drink your coffee before it goes cold.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't go cold in the Ember Mug. That's the point. You see, it's keeping it constantly at that temperature.
Yeah, it keeps it warm, but then steadily the taste declines and goes worse. I mean,
only the further down the drink you get. I think it's fine if you. I mean, like right now, it's just sitting there. I can go back to this in 30 minutes, and it'll be absolutely fine.
Right. Okay. Have we had a 5-minute discussion about coffee so far?
We have. Yes.
Okay.
I think we should move brought on. Tech into it as well. So if anyone's watching,
God bless you, sir.
God bless you. I think he's nearly back his holidays, so I'm expecting some kind of angry message at some point. He'll get back to himself. Holiday? Yeah, because he came off the whiskey for a few days just so he could travel, because you're not allowed to travel drunk. So he had to come off the whiskey to get on the plane. And, obviously that had its own side effects. But he's going to be back soon, and then he'll be back on it. And, he'll either be gleeful, unaware gleeful, or miserable. I don't know which one.
We'll find out. Welcome home, sir.
Welcome home, Mr. F. Look, I want to talk about something, but I have to really put a big, huge quotey fingers thing around this because, well, no, hang on.
Breaking news.
No, hang on.
It's not.
No, stop that. Because it's too early. And, I saw the news. I got an email. A lot of people did. Graham got in touch with me, as did Stuart and a number of others on Mastodon, to say, it's finally here. Meta AI has arrived in the UK. And I was like, wow, that's great. So I grabbed my glasses. I fire up the MetaView app. I think, right, here we go. Nothing. Look and describe. Say what you see. I can't do that, says my glasses. Okay. So I tried updating, and it's weird because there is an update for my MetaView app, but it will not install for some reason. So I don't know what's going on there. But
uninstall and do it all fresh. That's your only option.
That's right.
Yeah, so let's clarify, because we did talk about this and we weren't sure whether to mention it or not. But, everyone's talking about it, so why not? The thing is that an email was sent out with an update to the terms and conditions, the privacy notice for the MetaView apps in the UK.
Just having some coffee here, by the way, just so you know.
Okay, cold, terrible tasting
lovely.
Coffee. And in that, it did say that Meta AI is coming to the UK. But it did say soon, right? So, it said new features are coming to AI. And in there, it does mention the look and tell. So
with the word soon, that's the key word.
Soon is very key. So look, there's no official word on this apart from this update, but it does seem that something is happening. Now, the risk that I'm seeing is that we say, yes, it's coming, it's here, and then we're not clearing up any of the confusion that's been happening throughout this rollout period anyway, up until now. I'm still seeing messages that some people are saying, well, I've had it all the way through and I don't use a VPN, and some people are saying I use a VPN and I get it. Look, until we get the official notice that, hey, it is now available in the UK and Europe, then honestly, we still don't know anything. We're just all going off this email, which is a great sign.
Yeah.
But we just don't know yet.
Well, look, it tells us that it's on its way. I mean, that's the key thing. That's all we're going to get from that email, really. It's telling us it's on the way. I think we did fear for a while it may never make its way to these shores for various reasons. But, this privacy policy part of it, which has been updated, which basically means that Meta have adjusted their policies in line with whatever the UK government has laid out. That's a good thing, because that means now that feature can be used, can come along. Now, I have reached out to Meta and we'll see what they say. They have been responsive to us in the past, so I look forward to hearing an update. I imagine, though, if the email says soon, Meta are not going to give us a date. Just putting it out there. I don't think they will.
No.
I don't think they will.
It could mean anything. It could mean, next week or
next
6 months down the line. We have no idea what this means. Yeah.
But for those who are saying they've got it, and there's some people saying, look, I've updated, whether it was the glasses or the app or a combination of both, there are people saying they have it. So, whether it's just really rolling out slowly user by user, I don't know how it works. I don't know if they just do a batch of users at a time.
Yes.
That might be how it works. Then, I would just keep checking your app. I am running, as I say, what I think is the latest version of MetaView, but there is a new version that just won't install. And then, I've got the glasses on, I think, version 13. So, I just wait. I just hope it will just appear, and we'll all be very excited. Will do. Of course, again, I might get it. You might not. Someone else might not. Maybe just travel very slowly across the country. I don't know. I just, it just feels by now we should really be getting that, that faucet turned on full. Come on, get this over here, because people who are using it do seem to like using it and do seem to enjoy it. I will say, though, I have spent a lot of time with the Google Gemini Vision capability over the weekend and last past couple of days as well. I've really enjoyed using it. So I bought myself a new network switch because my new beautiful Mac Studio has got a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, which is like hugely fast and speedy. And I wanted to connect my other Mac, which doesn't have a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, to a switch that would allow me to basically have the two of them connect at that speed. So really high. Now, just to give you some comparison, 1 gigabit is usually what you're connecting your computer to a network at. That's the speed that's most capable within most PCs. Most laptops, pretty much every laptop, will have 1 gigabit capability. the bigger and more updated machines like the Mac Studio, and of course you can upgrade Mac Minis as well to have, and PCs as well, to have 10 gigabit Ethernet ports, mean you get essentially 10 times the speed. So if I'm transferring a file from one computer to the other, it's moving 10 times as fast, which when you're doing this kind of stuff with video, you really need that speed. Because, I was trying to transfer a file the other day, and to send a file from one end of the room to the other was taking 45 minutes. And it was like, I can't work like this. This is never going to work. We're never going to get a show out the door. I mean, it's hard enough as it is to get these shows out the door.
Yeah.
Just because of Shaun and I. Let's not add a new bottleneck to it. So I bought myself a new switch and I got all the new bits. And the problem was it was like a really new thing. I've never used this kind of switch before because 10 gigabit Ethernet is a different kind of beast. It requires different kinds of hardware. It's a little bit more expensive because it is more niche. Certainly more for business, I would say, than personal use for most people. Unless, of course, you're into gaming or, you really are doing a lot of content-heavy work.
Well, even then.
Yeah, even then. So, I get all the stuff and I've got all these bits in front of me and I'm like, okay, I don't know how any of this works. I don't know what any of this stuff is. It kept saying, make sure you use an SFP plus transceiver. And I'm like, is that not what you wear when you go on holiday to avoid getting sunblock or sunburn? So, anyway, I fire up the Google Gemini app and I'm like, right, you need to explain this to me because I don't know what I'm doing here. And it was brilliant because the Google Gemini Vision was able to see the device I had, be able to tell me and talk me through all the ports. I was able to point at a port and just say, what's that? And it would tell me. And it was accurate because there were certain things I could tell. I could tell by touch what certain things were. So I knew it was telling me the right thing. And I thought it was really good. I was really impressed. Now, I tried the same with ChatGPT and Vision, and it was a bit more woolly with the answers, if I'm honest. It wasn't able to tell me, for example, the specific device I was looking at. It wouldn't. It would kind of give me more woolly answers, like, well, a 10 gigabit Ethernet port is, rather than kind of specifically on that device, which, kind of made me more trusting of it. But I'm very impressed by the Google Gemini thing. So
again, you're using this because you got the Samsung Galaxy S25.
That's right.
Plus Max Ultra, I can't remember which one they are now, which has the vision capability built in. Because I double-checked the other day on Gemini, and in the iOS app, you do not have the vision capability there.
No.
So, but look, this is the thing where it's great, right, for that sort of thing. We talked about this as well. I was saying I had a question and answer session with Copilot the other day, and it absolutely blew me away. It's just, the way you just turns into a natural, normal conversation.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't quite understand what you mean by that. Can you explain it a bit easier? It's really cool. The only problem is when it gets it right, you're amazed. When it gets it wrong, it's really disappointing. And it still gets it wrong quite often.
Yeah, well, look, there's a trust issue for sure, right? I'm the same.
Yes.
I do have to sometimes think, okay, does this work? Is this behaving properly? Is this doing what... is this information correct? Because I wasn't even sure what device I'd bought, to be perfectly honest. I just knew based on the information that I bought.
That's the Stephen Scott way.
That's it. No idea what I'm buying, but, hey, it's got 100 quid marked on it, so it must be decent. But now I know how transceivers work and the need for them, and SFP plus. Just don't, ask me any questions about it.
Yeah.
I will refer you to my good friend Google Gemini, though, who can absolutely help you out. I will say, though, it's kind of funny, right? Because remember at the beginning of ChatGPT, it was always, tell me this like I'm a 5-year-old. I'm kind of getting to the stage where it's like, tell me this like I'm an embryo. Let's go right back to basics here. Because I'm sorry, even the 3-year-old is kind of like, no, you're way too intelligent for me.
But that's what it's useful for. I've got to say, that live conversational mode on
brilliant.
All of them.
Yeah.
Is really good just for having that. I don't quite understand this. Explain it to me. It's so good.
I just like, so if I do, and I'm literally pointing, and I'm not good at prompting these things. I'm kind of like, so does that work with that? I'm literally just pointing at that and that, and it got it. It was like, yeah, that's right. So it gave me the right information, and I thought, wow, that's kind of impressive. So, yeah, I'm enjoying my time with Google Gemini, which of course is kind of getting me into the Android world. I'm going to talk more about that in the next couple of weeks because. Our good friend Carrie Morales has been in touch. She also has a Samsung S25, and I don't know what it is. I remember getting, I think I told you this before, but the Samsung S10, I think it was, the first, it was, well, maybe not the first Samsung I ever had, but certainly one of my favorite ones. I think this is like the S10 for me. It just really clicked with me as a phone. and I'm really enjoying even Android. Dare I say it? Even Android, even TalkBack. I'm actually enjoying. I mean, I notice things that are missing. Like, there's no way to just get like a simple dictation method. I always have to go and find the dictation button. There's no magic tap option for that. Really? Okay. So it feels like it's got a long way to go in terms of development. And it feels like
there's a long way to go for the learning curve. Maybe you can customize the gesture. Maybe there's
I did reach out on Mastodon on that one because I was trying to. There was a voice command option, but I couldn't get that to work. And I didn't really understand why you would go to a text field and then you would double tap on it and then you would swipe to get a menu to bring up voice commands to then ask it to dictate. I'm like, it seems an awful long way around to get to that point, you know? Can't I just hit dictate or double tap or something? The problem is we just want to carbon copy what iPhone's doing. And obviously it's not built to do that, right? So there will be other ways. But yeah, I'm learning some cool stuff about it. I'm enjoying it. But anyway, we'll talk more about that with Carrie soon. She's going to come on. I think we're going to go on her show as well. Well, I am, because I know you couldn't care less about the Android side of things, because you're an absolute nightmare and a horrible person.
Stephen's turned into an Android advocate all of a sudden.
Fight the power.
What's happening here?
I don't know what's going on. Braille.
The world has gone
Braille a few years ago, using Braille keyboard, talking about Braille, loving it. Android now, goodness me. Next I'll be back on a PC. Sorry, I know it's silly, I know.
Calm down.
We get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into the emails.
Yes,
stop that.
Please.
Right, let's get into some emails because goodness me, we need to. Someone actually wrote on, I think it was Stuart wrote on YouTube. Shaun, if you, I know you enjoy reading old books, he says, and old material. He says maybe you should pop into the inbox because if you like material from the 1970s, you'll probably find some emails in there to go along with it. So yeah, thanks, Stuart.
Very, very funny, Stuart, by the way. Can I say it's soul destroying because I cleared out quite a lot over the weekend and then I came back in and there's another 40 new ones in there. It's never ending. I'm trying my best.
Is that not the best problem to have?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. I know. I'd be crying if we don't get any. So it's amazing.
But look, yes. we do really value, and I mean that, we do really value the time you guys spend. And of course, we have Laura who reads the emails. So sometimes there's a little bit of a blockage in getting things recorded and turned around. But, we are going to get on the case with it. And we're going to start right now. Let's go to Gordon first off on the subject of sunglasses and the blind uniform.
Hello, Double Tappers. It's Gordon from Livingston in Scotland. Just following up on Negative Julian's comments on sunglasses being part of the blind uniform. I think we're in danger of creating a real stooshy out of a minor disagreement here, but I think it's important to say that everybody's experience is different, and mine is certainly very different to Julian's. This goes back quite a long way to when I still had a little bit of vision. So we're talking, must be about 12, 15 years now. My wife and I decided to go on holiday and we wanted to travel to a foreign country. So we went down to England and visited the lovely city of Chester. And we had a great time, I have to say. It was a lovely place, lots of nice restaurants and plenty to see. So it was great. At the time, I was using the long cane, but I could still see a bit, so I didn't wear any glasses at all. And I would hang on to my wife's elbow as we wandered around. Still had a disappointing number of collisions with people who seemed to think that if they could see my eyes, then that meant I could see them. And this was really brought into focus when a bit of a miracle happened. The sun actually came out for a few days, and I had to invest in a pair of cheap sunglasses. And I put them on, which saved my eyes from streaming with water. But I also instantly noticed that the number of collisions we had was significantly reduced. As I say, it was as if people thought if they could see my eyes, it meant I could see them. When I put on the sunglasses, then that, combined with the long cane, seemed to suggest to people that really I couldn't see at all. So that was my experience. I then began wearing sunglasses whenever I went outside. Now, of course, I wear them even inside because we now have Bluetooth sunglasses which connect to the phone, and I'm always listening to podcasts or music or audiobooks or whatever with my sunglasses on. So that's my experience. Other people's may be different, but I think many people do seem to regard the combination of sunglasses and the long cane as the blind uniform, whatever that is. Anyway, keep up the great work. Really enjoy the show, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree that is certainly my experience as well. But, like Gordon says, all our experiences are different. So, yeah. Let's go to Ryan, who's also commenting on this.
Yep, who cares? I myself have no eyes and my eyelids stay closed all the time. Making eye contact is awkward, as I will look at a person, but all they will see are my closed eyes. Sunglasses can make people feel more comfortable. So, since we are all on our own journey, let us choose what works for ourselves. Live and let live. From Ryan.
Yeah, well, live and let live. That's what I say. I mean,
Let live.
Seems like a little bit extreme position for this particular viewpoint, but yeah, okay, fine.
It's funny because it seems like this discussion, which started off with me saying that, sunglasses were part of the blind uniform, and Negative Julian coming back and saying sunglasses on their own, and that's important, don't signify, visual impairment, which I agree with. But it started this whole debate about a blind uniform. But it does seem to be spinning off into various other sections as well, such as, do we care what we look like? Should we care what people think of us? And also, as we'll hear coming up, is about people thinking that we're pretending. I mean, it's an interesting conversation how these start up.
Well, here's Glendon with more on this.
Hi guys, gal and all double tappers. I hate to beat this whole sunglasses cane dance over the head again, but I felt that I needed to chime in here. First of all, I just want to say that when I took a big hit on my eyesight when I was teaching for the school board, I did use the ID cane, as we call it, for a few years before graduating to the larger and apparently more blind cane. I will say this, Julian. When I first started using it, I was happy that I had a narrower cane with only 3 folds instead of 4 because I could tuck it away and down the back of my pants when I wasn't using it. It is true that I didn't always need it, so this made it much easier on me. I suppose, as it has been suggested here, that I could have thought to myself as I was walking around that my students and others who crossed my path might think that I was pretending to be blind since I seemed to be getting around pretty well, but this never crossed my mind. I think I used this for a few years before changing over, thinking about my feelings of what other people's impressions or judgments about what I can or cannot see in today's world, and with nada, vision for all intents and purposes, I will say this. When I am navigating the world today and getting my shopping or going to a movie to unwind, I definitely am not thinking about how others are thinking about my abilities. It is far too challenging just to get around for me to be able to do this, especially when I am counting my paces as well as listening to the traffic and sidewalk noise to avoid getting killed. Please don't get me wrong. There certainly are people out there who may question my ability to see or not see, just like there are people who will vote for a sick man to run a country. I honestly just don't have the brain space to be able to or want to entertain negativity at a time when everything is negative out there. Now, I find that getting out of the house is a chance to escape the doldrums, bad news, and feel as normal and well-adjusted as possible. This doesn't mean, though, that I don't enjoy listening to the hilarious banter on these kinds of dilemmas. While it might get sometimes to be monotonous for some, we must also remember that there are always new listeners who haven't heard the intellectual joustings that make a good debate and give us all a chance to practice our higher-order thinking and analytical skills. It's all good, as they say. Everyone is different, and so every person's experience will be different on both sides of the fence, for the blind and for the sighted. And on this point, I will have to give the win to Stephen. And Shaun, like Stephen, I couldn't care one iota what other people think about me. That's all for now. Here's hoping that everyone out there is doing well and able to put a smile on your face from time to time, which is much harder now than it has been in the last years. Cheers from Glendon in Toronto.
Thank you, Glendon. If this is the place... No, hang on. If this is the place where people come and they get enjoyment by thinking about sunglasses as the blind uniform and we can just escape the world for a little while, I'm all for it. There,
Escape
I said
the
my
world.
piece.
There's a T-shirt.
Yeah. Another one.
Wait, hang on. What win are you getting, Stephen? So, what was that in reference to?
I think Glendon might just be saying, look, my experience is probably more common than the other experience, which is, essentially that sunglasses are seen as some kind of sign of vision.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's very individual. I think it's very individual. And also the reactions are different. It depends who you talk to. Like, I mean, my experience has always been people I meet who I haven't seen in a long time. And bear in mind, I haven't been out much in the past, 5 years. So, a lot of friends of mine who I've maybe spoken to have been on the phone or have just been texting people. When you actually meet them, it's interesting to get their reaction because the sunglasses kind of almost give it away. It's like, they go, oh, I didn't realize things had gotten worse.
Well, that's the crux of the argument, isn't it? That
Well, it is to me,
do
yeah.
signify VI, yeah.
Because I used to wear sunglasses before, but only outdoors, right? Now I'm wearing them pretty much all the time, even indoors, just because of the issues I have with light perception more than anything else. And, if I go outside now, it's just a washout if it's a bright day.
Yeah.
There's just no vision at all, really, that's usable. I mean, that's the thing, of course, vision is so different as well to each individual person. So someone's vision might be absolutely, reasonable inside. And actually, I say that. I used to think my vision was reasonable inside. And then I walked straight over a table that had been put in my path that I would have told you if you'd said there's a table in front of you, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah.
Kind of, because your environment, and I get this, we had work being done to the house yesterday, and this guy who came in, he's like, I didn't have my sunglasses on, interesting, indoors that day, and he said, I always thought you had less vision than you seem to have. And I said, no, I just know my house really well. I said, I can navigate this place, no problem. I said, but if I came into your house, I'd have a problem. I said, simple as that. And the reason I said that was because he actually lives in exactly the same type of house I'm in. So even if I was in his house, even though the layout's similar, I don't know where the furniture is. I don't know where the tables are. I don't know where
there will be no coffee tables left.
Exactly. Everything will be turned upside down.
That people feel comfortable to say something like that.
I know.
Is that, I thought you had less or more or whichever way they go. It just seems like a strange thing.
I don't even know if it's meant to be like a caught you out, or I don't think it's even that.
No.
I think people fear vision loss so much. They almost don't want to believe that it's real. They almost want it to believe that, it's just, you maybe don't see as well. And that's it. Maybe. I think that might be where it comes from for a lot of people, and of course there are people out there who will absolutely try and catch you out. I had it many times. I had my eyes almost poked out by a guy who walked up with me with both fingers and poked them in my eyes. And I don't know, I still to this day have no idea why he did that. Yeah. I mean, the guy had, let's just say he smelled of alcohol, so we'll just leave it there. But,
right.
Okay. That kind of thing happens. I mean, look, I'll be honest, I experienced more negative stuff from the public when I was younger. And I'm going to say it, I find the worst attitudes come from older, posh people.
You added posh in there.
I think that's very specific, actually, because, posher people tend to be a little bit more opinionated about things. Generally, I find, this is my experience, and generally they are more likely to say things which others might find a little bit more, they might be more likely to hold back in saying. I find younger people mostly are delightful. That's
true. I mean, we're generalizing.
I am generalizing because, of course, there's bad on
we're
every
going
side,
off
right?
our experiences. I would.
And also, I'm not walking out in the streets at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday in a city. I'm not putting myself in environments where I'm at danger or at risk. I travel within the off-peak hours, if you like, because I'm not going to put myself in a difficult situation.
I will say, though, I think that sometimes people say these, which we put down as inappropriate or insensitive or whatever way you want to characterize it. I think they say these statements. Sometimes they are trying to catch you out, but I think that's very rare. I think for the majority of the times, people are just curious and just, they just let it out without even thinking sometimes. Why do you do that? It's Anyway, yes, there's another email, I believe.
Oh, there's more. Another one? There's more than one. Right, Frank's up next.
Hi all. Well, we have got a dilemma. Should us blind people wear dark glasses or not? I have had both ends of the discussion, or should I say comments, from non-blind people. Some have said that I am not blind, as I can see very little and can in some situations find an object or item on a stand that, of course, depends on lighting and other aspects of my surroundings. I don't wear glasses when I'm out and about, as I feel uncomfortable, as I think that I'm going to lose them off my nose. I worked for a long time in a group, and on stage I would wear dark glasses as the lighting was so bright to make me squint. At one venue, one of the audience said to one of my friends that I was not blind, so why did I have on dark glasses? He was informed that I was blind and why I had dark glasses on. Mind you, he was rather full of drink. That made me feel rather proud. I have a rather warped sense of humour. I could not see what all the fuss was about when they took Mr. Magoo off the TV. I thought that it was very amusing, as I could relate to some of his antics, talking to mirrors, apologising to lampposts, and tripping over things that were not even there. All I can say is wear what you like and let the rest of the world go their own way. What they think of you should not matter, as long as it's not derogatory and offensive. Regards, Frank.
Yep, I agree with all that. I mean, I think, it's funny because the whole Mr. Magoo thing, right? That I can totally understand, or at least I can see that there's going to be a lot of people on one side or the other on that one. It's going to be, this is disgraceful, this is disgusting, this is making fun of blind people. And there's people like me, if I'm honest, who will just laugh my backside off at the whole thing because it's just, it in some ways it's probably so close to reality that it is funny, and I think it depends where you are in your life. I think it depends who you are. I think it depends if you're new to blindness, you're maybe not going to find it funny probably for a long time. I think, I've lived with visual impairment my whole life. And I've lived around a lot of people who are disabled as well. So, humor was actually something that got us through all of that. I think it helps personally. I think
it's difficult, isn't it? It's not clean cut because you initially, if someone described Mr. Magoo to you, you'd say, oh, that's terrible. They're laughing at a person with a disability. But how often do we relay our stories and laugh out loud at each other? So is it okay if Mr. Magoo was just for blind people? But then, as you've often said, if you take out the blind aspect and replace it with something else, if Mr. Magoo was in a wheelchair or had some sort of cognitive issue, would that still be okay?
Well, I think the answer to that is ask someone in a wheelchair or with a cognitive issue, because it's not for me. It's not for me to say, right? I mean, I can talk about my side of this. Mr. Magoo, for example, is about a blind character, right? So, or a low vision character, however he was, what his vision level was, I'm never quite sure. Never interviewed him, so don't know. But I do think we can talk about it from our own perspective in this case. But like you say, if you start talking about other conditions or other disabilities, I wouldn't be comfortable speaking up for someone in that position, because equally I'm uncomfortable if someone speaks up for me about blindness. How many times do we hear someone talk up about blindness? I see it at conferences all the time. I sit sometimes in these audiences and listen to people talk, and I hear them talk about blindness and disability and and I think, it's just sit there kind of with my hand over my mouth going, what do you actually know? What do you actually know?
Yeah. It's a difficult one for me, that one, because I totally get what you're saying. As I said, we tell stories about what we've done, and it's hilarious, right?
If it comes from our perspective, I think it's fine. I think that's the case.
Yeah, but how many times have you been, as a child, been called Mr. Magoo as an insult?
Oh,
does that
weekly,
matter?
Almost, when I was at school. I was called worse. I was called the R word. I was called...
of course.
Every word you could probably think of. I mean, look, again, I think about it as, all we have is our reaction. Okay? We have our reaction. We can decide how we want to react to things. It's the only control we have left. And if anyone tells you you don't have control, and there's a lot of this victimhood going on at the minute where it's like, I'm a victim. And I'm sorry, I'm not a victim. Okay? I'm not a victim of anything. I'll make a decision for myself on how I react to something. I'm not going to go with group think because they all say it, I'm saying it. My view is, well, look, I will decide for myself if I find it offensive or not. And if I do find it offensive, I will explain why. But if I don't find it offensive or I find it funny, that's on me. That's my choice, because I can't react to every damn thing. When did this start? When did we begin as a society to start reacting to every damn thing that you hear? You know, it's like Twitter.
Social media.
I was going to say, social media started all this. You know, a bunch of snitches, a bunch of snivelling snitches. They just go
don't
on
say
there.
Snitches, I hate that.
Oh, they go on there and they start all
Snitching
this.
is good.
Oh, I don't like that anymore. And you're like, oh, shut up.
That's not
You wouldn't be,
snitching.
you know, if you didn't have that platform and your 3
Whinging.
people are apparently listening to you, most of them are bots, you know, you wouldn't have any reaction to this at all. And no one would care. Because if someone said something stupid, you know, 20 years ago, you would just laugh it off, or you would just go, guy's an idiot, and that's it, over. But now these people have platforms, so they can say stupid things.
They can group
some
together.
Some of them even live in big, let's just say, brightly coloured houses. So, you know.
Wow. I've got a terrible sinking feeling that the Mr. Goo debate has just kicked off. I can expect more feedback.
There's only one Mr. I'm concerned about around here. And it ain't Mr. Magoo.
God bless you.
I just got an email, by the way, as we were on. We just got an email. He's back. He is back.
Is he officially back? Is everyone looking busy?
I think everyone's terrified. Yeah, they've all retreated to their workstations in fear. Mr. F today stands for fear. Okay, let's move on and away from sunglasses to Meta. Feels like we just bounce between these two subjects sometimes.
Yes.
But Meta, Ian's here. Ian, I should say, thinks that Meta have their priorities wrong.
Dear Tappers, I was interested to hear about Meta's expansion into more hardware options. Personally, I think they are running before they can walk, although I understand the attraction from a marketing perspective. My priorities would instead be sort out the complete mess over regional AI availability inconsistencies, sort out many other software glitches that seem to come and go. Recently, I lost the ability to control my Apple Music playlists. I won't even consider paying any more for improved hardware until the AI and connectivity software problems are sorted out and become reliable. Many thanks, guys. Ian from Hull.
Okay, thanks for that, Ian. Yeah, Sean, I mean, do you think Meta have got their priorities wrong here?
I totally agree with you. I think the MetaView app, I mean, assuming it is that there's so many problems with it at the minute. It could be server side, as we mentioned at the kickoff of the show about, you know, the changes to AI that we think are coming. I'm having the same problems.
No, we don't think they're coming. We know that it says it in the email that's coming.
Look, sorry, if you go to the MetaView app under Meta AI, it still says about look and tell, even though it knows where I am. I don't believe when they say AI, they just automatically add look and tell in there. I'm not, until I actually get it in my dirty hands, I'm not buying it.
Filthy.
But either way, look, at the minute, there's lots of people that are getting that not responding tone. You know, you'll ask it something and it will go boop, 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 and then just go boop. And it's not working. I've gone into Meta AI section in the MetaView app, turned it on, and then gone back in, and it's off. So now I hope that's to do with that news that we just talked about, and maybe they're doing things to the AI server side, and that will resolve itself. The Apple Music problem, I fixed that by doing a factory reset of my glasses, and unpairing them from the Bluetooth settings on my phone, and then adding them as a new device.
And you have to keep doing that, though.
I know, the Apple Music came back. Other than that, the only way I could use Apple Music was by tapping and holding on the touch area, and it would say playing Sean's, playlist, which was fine. But if I ask it to play some music, play a specific song, first you need to connect it to your music app, which it was. So, there's definite issues there. I agree, and I do not like the new layout of the MetaView, and now I'm whinging, the MetaView app. You know, you've always got to find that close button or the back button at the top. The scrub gesture does not work. It's just not a great experience, but these are all kind of minor things that I hopefully will be resolved fairly soon. But yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, Dawn is also chiming in on this.
I recently bought a pair of Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I'm very impressed. The only thing that annoys me is the amount of lag when I type. Even putting in my passcode, I find a major headache because the screen seems to become somehow more sensitive. Is this a problem for everyone, or is my Bluetooth connection slow? From Dawn.
Oh, now it'd be interesting to know what phone you've got, Dawn, because I don't know. I haven't noticed it. I mean, look, I think there's always a Bluetooth lag on all these things. It might be more noticeable to you initially. It's something that perhaps over time you get used to. I certainly didn't think it was that bad. Do you find it annoying?
It's annoying when it comes to typing anything. Absolutely. It drives me crazy. The amount of times I miss a letter because I'm waiting for it to catch up with where my finger actually is and I've overshot and gone to another one and typed the wrong thing. Typing, I absolutely notice that lag.
Well, who types?
But there is, if you're unlocking your phone with the PIN code, then you would notice it. Yes, there is always a Bluetooth lag. I wouldn't say it's any worse than anything else with the Ray-Bans. And if I'm just swiping about and using it as normal, I don't notice it so much. But I don't think it's anything you can do anything about. Obviously, the usual thing, first thing is to turn everything on and off again. Second thing is to repair them. Is that right? Repair them. Go into
break
your
them
Bluetooth.
first. Snap the legs off and
arms.
Put them back.
Go
up.
into your Bluetooth settings. Swipe down on the Meta Ray-Bans until you find more info. Double tap on there and forget this device, and then repair them. And maybe you'll notice a difference, but to be honest, I don't think you will. I think it just is what it is.
I want an interview with Essilor Luxottica, the company behind these devices, and I want to ask them: is it arms or legs? That's my first question out the gate.
Okay. Feedback at doubletaponair.com.
If anyone from Essilor Luxottica's list, please don't start that. We'll have 8 million emails on arms or legs.
Arms. It's always been arms. It's arms. Of course, it's arms.
I can't even remember which one I said first. I think I said legs.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
How is it legs?
I seem to have sellotape on my foot. I don't know why that's happened. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah, I think we should.
How did sellotape go on my leg? Okay, let's move on to who have we got here? Hang on. Thomas. Let's go to Thomas.
Hi, this is Tom in Colorado, and I want to talk a little bit about Meta Ray-Ban glasses and the restrictions that there are on prescription lenses. While they do support prescription lenses in the glasses, they do not support strong prescriptions. Anything with an absolute value greater than 6 will not be supported on the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I talked with some independent lens providers who also work with Meta Ray-Ban, and they said they can do it, but it violates the specifications from Meta Ray-Ban, and your warranty of the Meta Ray-Ban glasses will be voided if you do so. So that leaves those of us who are visually impaired and are clinging desperately to whatever's left of our eyesight sort of out in the cold and full of FOMO. So, yeah, play a little violin for us.
Yeah, no, Thomas, I get it. I really do, because,
absolutely.
I think there's a lot of people. I remember we talked to Steve Saylor about this. He was buying the Meta Quest, I think it was, he was trying out. And he really wanted to use it, but he said he couldn't use it for very long periods of time because he couldn't get his prescription into the glasses, the insert that you can get. I think it's not Zeiss, but it's one of the companies that do. I think different companies actually do it for the Meta Quest, but I know for the Vision Pro, for example, it's Zeiss that do the lenses. You can just insert in, and that gives you your prescription. But unfortunately, there are certain lenses. And actually, this is something I've found more of recently. So there's a ton of adverts in the UK for companies that do Glasses Direct. That might be actually one of the company's names. Basically, they will, you send your prescription in and they send you the glasses. You just choose them online and they will just send out the glasses all ready to go, and they're cheaper than perhaps going to the high street.
Yes.
But it said, and it was interesting because over here in the UK, a number of our ads are now audio described, which is actually quite useful. So some of the terms and conditions, the things you don't see, are read out. And it said, not advisable or usable if you are blind or low vision. And I thought, that's interesting. So it must be because of the type of prescription. But why are we being left out of that? I don't understand that.
I don't know enough about this. I know when I was wearing glasses years and years ago, as the prescription got stronger and stronger, I spent more and more getting them ground down, getting those lenses thinned out. It made, the choice of frames that you could have. Well, you can't have those frames because your lenses, your prescription won't fit in that. So it's an obvious thing that happens. But it is an issue, right? Because there's lots of people out there with low vision that can get advantage or take advantage of a prescription that would really help them. And if the Meta Ray-Bans don't support it, or you void your warranty if you do go that far. What do you do? So yeah, it's a valid point.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's interesting because I don't wear the Meta Ray-Bans when we're doing the show because, well, for no other reason than just I've got these other glasses that I wear, and apparently they don't reflect as much light for the camera. So, it kind of works for me, but it also works for the camera when we're doing the show. I'm trying to accommodate everybody here. You keep them all happy, Oh,
you're a hero.
I am a hero. I know. I am a hero. Please. Why is everything running go slow today? That audience should have been much quicker than that. But anyway, the thing is, these are actually glasses I had, and they are prescription glasses. They are proper prescription glasses, what was my old prescription. And what's interesting to me is I can't really tell anymore when I've got them on. I used to clearly be able to tell a difference when I was wearing them. They did improve a little bit. Now, I know you might think, well, okay, just go and get a new prescription, but it doesn't really work anymore because I can't even barely read the board anymore.
Yeah, at a certain level, just let it go.
Well, that's it, And I wear them because, I actually find them quite comfortable. They're very light on my face. I like them. And they're great for doing the show. But, I wouldn't wear them outside. The interesting thing, of course, for me is that, when I did, there was a period, just maybe I would say a few months, because it was very quick when it all started to change. There was a period of about a couple of months where my vision changed, and it was that time when this prescription was kind of working, but it also wasn't working all at the same time. And what it would mean is you would end up with this really weird sensation, almost like a dizzying effect as you were walking along, almost because the glasses are kind of almost giving your eyes focus, but the eyes don't want to focus, right? The nystagmus is making sure they're not focusing, but they're also trying to focus at the same time. So you have this weird kind of fight going on between the glasses and the eyes, and that's why I got to the point of just ripping off the glasses and saying, I cannot wear these outside. They're going to cause me an accident because I just cannot get focused on anything here. So that's why I just went for plain ones. Tom, I don't know if it's worth just trying the glasses without. I know you would absolutely want to, and I understand why, totally understand why you want to use that remaining vision. But, you might also find when you're outside, unless you get real value out of that extra vision, and I understand why you would, you could just try without. But it depends on you. It depends on where your comfort level is. It does depend where you are. I've been there. I know it's tricky to make that kind of decision. I did it because it just became painful. I just couldn't really sit with those glasses on all the time. It doesn't bother me anymore, but it did.
Or
then.
Just say, I'll void the warranty and go with it. What the hell? But it's not a great position to be in, is there?
I think with technology as well, they'd be able to make lenses fit anything now. I mean, goodness me, they can make computers the size of your pinky finger. It's like, come on, can't make a pair of glasses.
They used to always say, well, if you buy those frames, then the thickness at the edge of your lenses are going to be so thick, it's going to look strange or something.
That's right, or they'll pop out too easily.
Or they'll pop out. Yeah, exactly, pop out. But I mean, the Ray-Bans are thick framed anyway. So, I mean, I don't really understand it.
Well, look, if anyone else has managed to get prescription lenses for themselves and is low vision, tell us about it because we can help Tom out. Let's move on, though. Mark has some comments on the reasons for Meta AI not showing up where it should.
Hi, Dabble Tappers. I'm curious why so many people think that Meta is intentionally holding back the look and describe features in Europe and the UK. This is a company that has repeatedly demonstrated that they make truckloads of money off our data. I have to imagine that they are equally frustrated with the regulations imposed by local governments. Mark, on Miami Beach.
Oh, I want to be on Miami Beach right now. Can I come visit you? That'd be okay, Mark.
Sounds nice, I gotta say. I don't know. I'm a little bit confused by this one. Are we saying that people are saying that it's Meta's fault or not? Of course.
No, I think people look to Meta because it's their feature, it's their product. It's like it's like the days of the radio station when I used to work in radio and I used to play songs and I used to hate some of the songs I play because it wasn't a really, especially modern stuff. I hated anything that was modern because it was all rubbish. And I'd play a song and
Grandad.
Yeah, I hated it. I hated all this modern noise. It was just racket. And so, Britney Spears or someone was singing away. And, I'd say, oh, yeah, you go. And someone would call up and say, that's a rubbish song. Why are you playing that? And I had to own it because, it was like my show on the station. But I wasn't picking the music. And that's kind of the same thing that's going on here, right? Meta don't really decide the regulations in the country. That's up to the governments to decide. The problem is the feature you're looking for is coming from that company, Meta. So they're kind of focusing their anger on Meta when in fact, actually, as Mark says, it's the governments that are responsible for the regulations.
Yes, but equally, you could say, why are Meta dragging their feet about complying with the regulation and making it opt out instead of opt in, or the other way round? Whatever they need to do, whatever hoops they need to jump through. So some of the anger towards Meta for not adhering or making compromises towards the regulation could be valid. It's not quite as simple as it's Meta's fault or it's the EU country's fault.
Hey, listen, before we go, got a couple of minutes left. Let's bring in one from Doug. This is on Sonos.
Hello, gang. It's Doug from Sault Ste. Marie calling. I have a question, a technical question.
Oof.
I have an Echo Show 8, and what I want to do is route the content that I'm listening to my Sonos speaker system, Sonos Play 5. You techie gurus may be able to explain to me how I can do that. I tell it to go to my living room group on Sonos, and I get silence. Any help would be appreciated. Thank you much. Ciao, ciao.
It sounds like you got it working in the background there. Your music happily playing away, Doug.
That's very good. Okay, I don't have a Sonos. I do not know, but the only way you can send audio out of an Echo device is Bluetooth, or if it's got a through the headphone jack at the rear. So, hey, Stephen, any idea?
Well, I remember in the early days when I first used Sonos, you could connect the two together via the Sonos skill in the App Store. So you could say, to your Echo, play this on this device, and it would play it. So that's
really
clearly what Doug is trying to do. I would maybe, I hate to say it, but you might need to unlink it all. I'm just wondering with the app updates and things changing in the background, I'm wondering if something's been disconnected somewhere, Doug. You might need to go back into the Amazon Lady A app and perhaps unlink the skill and link it up again and just see if that makes a difference. Maybe something hasn't connected again. Also, just make sure that all your devices are still on the same network and all that kind of thing. Maybe just give everything a reboot once you do that and just see how it goes. But that's how it used to work back in the day, because it was kind of cool because you could play music from your Echo and you could say, play this on that speaker. And it was great. Worked really well. You didn't have to plug it into it either.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes total sense. So this is a skill problem to look into.
I think
I'm sure our listeners
be,
will have some more ideas on that.
Well, I think Elliot, who's a resident Sonos expert, I think Callum as well, actually, may be the good people to come back on that one. So maybe we'll hear from them soon. Elliot has been in touch as well on the subject of Lady G and Sonos.
Just a quick one in reply to Ian asking about Google Assistants on Sonos. To clarify, although Google Assistant remains available on some Sonos speakers, as mentioned on the show, the newer speakers from Sonos, such as the Era 100 and the Era 300, as well as the second generation Roam, Move, and soundbar the Arc Ultra, do not have Lady G. It is a bit unclear as to why Sonos dropped support for Lady G on these newer speakers, with both technical challenges and legal patent wranglings between the two companies suggested as possible reasons. Elliot.
Okay, thanks, Elliot. That's pretty grim news.
Again, we have, it's all done in the background. Why has this suddenly disappeared? It's annoying because it was there and now it's not. That's the most annoying thing about all of this.
I wonder if that goes back to Doug's question. Maybe something's been removed in the background. Maybe something that was there last week isn't there today. This is the problem, isn't it? These software updates come through, things just disappear, and it's not messaged very well. And of course, Sonos, haven't exactly had the best track record in the world on this kind of stuff. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Listen, keep your feedback coming. We do love hearing from you, and of course, keep that feedback coming. Feedback at doubletaponair.com 1613 481 0144. That is our WhatsApp number, which you can leave a message on. You can send us a voice message. You can also leave us a video message. We'd love a video message from you, because then we'll see your beautiful face on YouTube and we'll hear your gorgeous voice as well. It's lovely.
Going back to the start of the show, you are beautiful. You beauties.
You are beautiful, no matter what they say, Shaun.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. I just realised something. I need to test the coffee now. It's an hour later, right? Let's see where we're at.
Okay.
The coffee update. Oh, hang on. Roasting hot.
And tastes like...
It tastes exactly the same.
Does
Now,
it?
leave it for 3 hours, different story, right?
Okay.
But I think that is perfectly acceptable to have the same, what's the word?
What?
Warmth. No, that's not the right word. Same heatness of coffee.
Heatness is definitely the right word.
Hotness,
Yes.
a word that's never described around me.
There you go. The Ember Mug there. How much is that, Stephen Scott? A
It's
fortune.
extremely expensive for a mug. Do you know what? Just buy a regular. You can actually buy, you can get ones that actually sit on wireless chargers. Believe it or not. You can get ones that are like China mugs. Again, you can't put any of these in the dishwasher. Got to say that. But
you can just get a hot plate, stick it on your desk, and just put your cup on it.
Oh, because that's a great idea for blind people. Yeah, stick a hot plate on your desk. What could
you
possibly go wrong there?
Nothing could possibly go wrong. I'm more than capable.
I'm going to buy you a hot plate and I'm going to see what happens in a week. Yeah, exactly. Sean's in hospital doing the show from hospital radio.
On that bombshell, I'm blaming you. After I came out of the shed on yesterday's show, I fell over the plant pot.
You're joking.
After you said, "Oh, look out for that!"
Oh, in the plant pot. You fell over it.
I totally forgot about it. Fell over it.
You are plant pot man. Well done.
I am.
Listen, we're out of time for today. Thank you, as always, for your emails. We really do appreciate them. We'll get back into more of them tomorrow on the show as well. Some great conversations coming up in the next couple of weeks, especially, as I say, around the subject of Android. If you've got any thoughts on Android, talk back, and you want to give me some hints and tips, I'm all ears. Tell me. You can get in touch, as I say, in all the usual ways. Find out more at doubletaponair.com/contact. We're back tomorrow. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.